The purpose of this video is to just briefly teach you how to start going about finding valid and reliable measures that are already out there or that already exist. Because if there is a measure for a particular construct, the construct meaning your variable, then you want to use something that is already validated, meaning people have shown that this is a good, valid measure, meaning that it's measuring what it's supposed to, and they've already shown it to be valid. Because if we just write items, yeah, it could be valid, but without undergoing full validation procedures, which you would learn more about, we're going to talk a little bit about in this course, but not a lot. You would want to take a measurement course to learn a little bit more about that. But if there's already something out there, one, it saves us the time of writing items, and two, you know for certain that it's already valid. So the way that I always start to begin with, and this is pretty much the extent of what we'll do in this course, is that I might say something like, let's say that we are measuring, social belonging. Is you can actually just go on Google and type this in. Now, we're not looking for a BuzzFeed measure. We're looking for measures that are actually in peer-reviewed published research. And so we're looking for things like ResearchGate. This is like a social media for researchers. These are going to be published articles, or articles like in Science, like actual scientific journal articles. A lot of times, Google Scholar, like scholarly articles. This is Google Scholar, by the way, which is one location where you can sort and search for articles. I actually usually just skip straight to this. I just find the Google Scholar, and now we can look, because if someone publishes a scale and validates that scale, it's typically going to be in the title of the article. So we could look general belongingness. Does that sound like something that we're actually interested in measuring? Does to me, at least enough to go look at the paper. So next I want to try to access that paper. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't access that full paper. It looks like we can right now. Sometimes you have to go through, and actually at the point in the term that we are at, if you can't access it, just throw that one away, move on to the next one. I'll teach you what to do if you ever can't access articles later. We're just not to that point yet. And I'll be honest, at this point, we don't need the perfect scales. We're learning, and we're going to write some of our own scales so that you can learn about writing items as well. Right now, we're just looking for things that sound pretty good. But they do need to be published scales, or we are going to write our own. So this looks like they created a scale, and now later on, if you took a measurement course, you would want to actually evaluate how good is the evidence for the validity of this scale. We're not at that point yet. Right now, I just want you to look at the items and see if it's roughly measuring what you want to measure. I said I want to measure social belongingness, and so now I want to see, did they publish the items? Sometimes it'll be in the figures or the tables, but usually I just scroll and I'm looking for a table with the items. Look at that. Now, we do want to know, what is the starting to all of these items, because it looks like they all have a similar starting. Like maybe I sometimes feel like I do not belong, am an outsider looking in, an outsider. And we want to then, like, now we found the items, we'd want to look through their methods, to figure out what all of them were. Let's see. So we just want to look in the methods, like what was the item, like what was the starting to each of these items. It's not obvious to me. We might need to read a little bit closer than I'm going to read here in the video, but you would want to kind of just look in the methods for what did all of these items start with, because that's what the ellipses here suggest, is that there's a starting point that was the same for all of them. And then we would want to know, what is the bold items versus the other? And it says down here in the note, it says bold items are the final retained 12 items. So if we were going to use this scale, we would only want to use the bold items, and then we're good to go. So now, if I'm looking at these, does this measure social belongingness? They feel like an outsider, they feel distant during the holiday season. Holiday season is a little weird. I don't love that item. It seems too domain specific, meaning it's too specific to one instance. What if someone didn't feel like an outsider during the holiday season, but they always did elsewhere? So I don't love that item. I wish that it wasn't in the scale, but again, we're just glancing here. I sometimes feel like people don't care, friends and family don't involve, I don't have a place at the table, I don't feel accepted by others. It was a pretty decent scale. It does seem like we actually have two factors, meaning that there's actually two portions to this variable. There's factor 1 and there's factor 2. So maybe one of these factors fits what we are looking for, but the other doesn't. I'll be honest, I don't love these first few items. Some of them seem distant, or some seem, all right, but let's look at this second one. Having a place at the table, accepted by others. I like that one. That seems like what I was initially thinking in my head that I wanted to measure. I feel included with other people, feel connected, a sense of belonging, close bonds, friends, and family. I love this subscale. So what we could actually do is say, I used the acceptance inclusion subscale of this broader measure, which was the general belongingness scale, and we could just use that smaller subscale rather than the whole scale if that fit our requirements a little bit better. But then we'd want to look at some of these others and just go through those same procedures. Is it valid, or does it look like it's valid? Are there critiques that I have? And then let's glance at some others and see if there's anything better out there